Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Inspire View series. My name is Cherrise Boucher, and I'm a momentum strategy coach. And I was inspired to do this series. I'm in my third year, so I was inspired to do this series because I really feel that people's stories connect you. They connect you to other people. You find common ground. You get inspiration. You get motivation. And so I thought, what better way to do this than to have an interview series where I get to connect with women from all over the world and all different backgrounds who have followed their passions and created livelihood from what they love to do. So today, I would love to introduce you to somebody who was definitely going to correct my pronunciation of her name, because I'm like so American that I'm going to say it like how I would, but I'm going to try. Let me introduce you to Susanne.
Ooh, close.
Close. I've had two ladies recently now that I've had issues with pronouncing their names, but we'll keep going with it. She is an international hypnobirthing and healing coach who specializes in birth trauma, PTSD, and body issues. She coaches women around the world to heal sexual abuse and trauma, as well as prior traumatic births. While pregnant, Susanne's experience of child abuse put her on a different road of care from her team of midwives. This gave her a new mission in life, helping women heal wounds from the past. Having been diagnosed with PTSD at 17, she knows firsthand how challenging this can be. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you can go ahead and just say your name the right way, so that we get that down.
Well, since I'm Dutch, I would pronounce it as Susanne.
Okay, very good.
So,
and it sounds
most people just say Susanne.
I know, that's where my brain keeps going. So to stop and try to get it correct,
I'll listen anyway, don't worry.
It will take me a few times. I have to repeat it over and over and over, and then
You'll learn something.
Yeah, exactly. So welcome. I'm so happy that you are here because this is a whole new topic for me. I have never interviewed anybody, and I don't know why. I guess the opportunity just never arose to do this.
Here I am.
And here you are. And I'm thrilled because this is important, and we'll find out why and everything. But I'd love if you could share a little bit about how this all came about for you, because it seems like a pretty unique approach, but much needed for women to have this resource.
Yeah, I think it started when I was pregnant myself, and I've been in therapy for years to find a place for the PTSD and the things that happened when I was younger. And when I was pregnant, it felt like I was like reliving every year I had. So when I was 1 month pregnant, I was going through the years around 25, 20, and just the further I got pregnant, the further back in time, and things that came up just as things I experienced or things I felt or sickness or whatever it was, it just kept coming up. And I talked to my midwife about it. It's like, is this normal? Or because yes, I've learned the tools in therapy to deal with the triggers, and if situations happen, I know how to handle and cope in situations. Well, I can't say I was really too happy about the feeling those things again, because I thought, I've done the work. Why are those emotions apparently still there? So because of sensitivities I had, a medicalized birth wasn't something that was in my path. So I was looking into ways to have a natural childbirth, and somehow I came across the hypnobirthing, which is a technique you use relaxation to make the body as relaxed as possible, so the muscles can do their work and birth the baby as gentle as possible. I did a course. We used it for a birth. We had a lovely birth. I was planned to have a home birth. I decided during my labor to go to the hospital because, of course, of all things that came up, an old sports injury played off on my wrist. And after a couple of hours in sitting, in a certain position, which was fine to birth, and my wrists were going, we're not doing this anymore. So I went to the birth pool. When I used that, it was all perfectly fine. But after a while with our little girl Hannah, I started to think, I want to do something. I want to go back to work. What am I gonna do? So I decided to do the hypnobirthing training. But I also noticed how much sometimes deeper the work is needed, because with hypnobirthing, you kind of retrain your brain into think positive. No, your body's made to do this. You can do this. But sometimes there's under that, you can, it's kind of like you keep sticking a band-aid on something while you don't deal with underneath. So I did an additional training called Matrix Birth Reimprinting to work really on those underlying programs, so we can get something from the roots up and deal with what the underlying reason. Because, for example, if a mom comes to me and she feels like she can't give birth because she can't trust your body, I can tell her 1,000 times, you can do this, you can do it.
Right.
But if we don't deal with the program she's telling herself, because, for example, I can't give birth to my baby because I can't trust my body because of something that happened when such and such touched me inappropriately, or something, I was ill when I was 6 and that made me feel like I couldn't trust myself anymore. Whatever it is, if we remove those files, as I always call them, on your hard drive, that's when we start to see the change. That is when we start, we can believe different things, we can feel differently about ourselves, about our abilities. And then you can, work on a mom and say, you can do this because, you removed that program. And, that's how it works. And now, long story short, I started, a little bit over a year ago. So a year and a half-ish we're now. And it's going great. In 12 countries I've been teaching my course. I'm featured in all kinds of international, national magazines, publication, podcasts. So apparently it's something that's really needed. And I'm really grateful for my own personal journey that I can now say to other women, yes, therapy is a very handy tool. And I really encourage that if you experience trauma or birth trauma or anything, go to your GP, get the help. But there are ways, if those, first steps don't help, don't give up. Don't throw in the towel and say, oh, I'm just a lost cause. No one can help me. Yes, I can. Just keep searching to what works for you. Because, I had 4 therapists before I really started to look into, those programs, those things I kept telling myself. And it was not until I healed those wounds, the healing began. So you can have all the tools you have, but if you don't, you still have an open wound that's bleeding the whole time. Yeah, that Band-Aid ain't gonna fix it.
Right. That's so important.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Because often we don't even know. Like say somebody's never gone to therapy, right? And they find, they're pregnant and they're supposed to be so excited, right? About this new
petrified
adventure and bringing a new life and starting this whole, because it changes everything when you have children. And it doesn't matter how many times people tell you that, you don't really understand it until you have your
experience it yourself,
child, right? Because I remember people telling me that and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. But it does. So I think this is great to share with like as many people as possible, because something could come up, like you find you're pregnant, and like you said, with every month there were new things that were coming back that you thought you had dealt with. But some people who've maybe just shut everything out from anything that may have happened in the past, and they're wondering what is going on. Like this is the worst experience of my life, but it doesn't have to be, right? Because they can
the things can for me, the way I see it, if things come up in whether it's my body that's sore or I keep having certain thoughts, for me personally, that's like that's a trigger, and I know, oh, that's a new space I can grow. So that's how I reframed my traumas, my problems.
Right.
It's just, something that comes new to the surface, and we'll deal. We'll deal.
Yeah. And I think that's a great outlook.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a long
time. I can handle it.
Exactly.
It may take me a while. I will figure it out.
And that's a great outlook to have. I think that's a hugely important shift to happen within people to take that power back and turning it into something that they can use to benefit themselves.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like, okay, so this is kind of a backwards and forwards, I guess, and just popped into my head. So
doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Something on your website about, you know, like possibly dealing with your own birth issues. So do you think that being proactive in working with you and doing hypnobirthing helps the baby have a different experience? Yeah. Like, are we screwing up our kids when we give birth?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm trained with the matrix birth re-imprinting. The technique is developed by Sharon King, and she has a book called Heal Your Birth. And in that, she explains how medical procedures and how the way we are born affect on who we are. So she, for example, gives when for a baby is born really early and needs to be in an incubator, they can bond to the equipment around them. And then long term, you see, for example, those babies become extremely well with dealing with technology and computers, yet the way they deal with humans, it needs a bit of help. You know, the classic nerd computer kind of image we have. For example, myself, I was a forceps delivery, and I was pulled out of my mom during the birthing process to help me be born. And I'm really good at processing information really quickly. So it doesn't need to be like, oh my God, you know, it was horrible, we're violating our kids. It also comes with positive things. But the way we were born and the way women give birth, it really does matter. And especially if, because we always have to say, yeah, as long as you have a healthy baby, that's all that matters.
Right.
But, you know, it's a unit. If the mother, as well as the father, can't cope or isn't feeling the way they want to be, or if they can't deal with what's going on, you can have a healthy baby all you want, but you need to have the unit in place, you know, the tribe in place in order to raise the children. And even if you just look at the statistics on the suicides just after the first year a new baby is born, it's absolutely shocking. And well, we won't dwell too much on that, but it really is important that if a woman or, you know, your partner, sometimes the woman is fine, yet the partner is suffering from postnatal depression. And that's something we just don't talk about.
Right. No.
And the way I am, and maybe it's a bit of a cultural thing as well. I talk about anything and just ask me. I may not answer, but you can ask me anything you want. Yeah, for me, it's just, you know, I'm human. You know,
right.
We all do the same thing, but yet we can't talk about it. Yeah,
right.
No. I have some days that I feel crap. It happens.
It does. Yeah.
But, you know, what you can't do about it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the stories you read, and sometimes, you know, how women are treated during birth, it's absolutely not okay. And I'm not saying, you know, oh, just celebrate how horrendous you were treating just because. No, that's not what I'm trying to bring across. But there is the way you give birth and the way we treat women in general, but especially in something so important as becoming a mother, because it's a transition. You know, there's a baby born, but there's also a mother born, and there's also a father being born.
Right.
Just in that split second, and yet we don't seem to acknowledge the power that moment can have.
Yeah.
It sounded really profound.
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, it's all about the baby. Once the baby's here, and that can have some pretty like big effects on the mother, who's now like, oh yeah, okay, good, you had the baby, now it's all about the baby.
And now what?
Yeah.
No, even when I was pregnant, I know some family members from my husband's side, it was the, hi, how are you, for how's the baby, and they never asked about me.
Right.
And Hannah was 9 pounds too, so that's over 4 kilos for those who don't do pounds. But yeah, so she was a baby, you know. There was like a lot in front of me. So I get that, you know, you ask, you know, how it's going, but there wasn't even as much as an interaction to me anymore at some point. I was like,
Right.
and you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the way I approach the situation. Yes, the healthy baby matters, absolutely. But a healthy mother matters too.
Mhm.
Because if a mother isn't healthy, it's for me, she's the foundation of the family.
Right.
If you know she falls away, what's gonna happen?
Right. Right. It affects everything.
It affects everything. So, but I teach the women around me, you need to take care of yourself. It's not selfish. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
You need
And
to
that
take
is
care
a
of you.
big piece. That's a huge piece. So I'm all for it. And I
Got another hour.
I talk about it like all the time, the importance of it. And I wish I had known that, you know, a long time ago, because I feel like I would take a different approach to things knowing what I know now. But I think encouraging the whole self-care, like how important that is in your life, and especially if you're becoming a new mom, because we push ourselves like on the back burner, you know, it's like everybody before us. And I did it. I know I did it. And you lose yourself in those years if you're not aware of it, which I wasn't. So I can look back and say, oh, you know, like, what the hell, Cherrise?
What did I do?
Yeah, like you could have taken a different approach to this. But, you know,
what would you have done differently then? Because you're making me curious now.
Yeah, well, you know, because, well, my relationship was a whole thing that I would have done very, very differently. But I was very much like all about putting those around me first. And then I would feel guilty if I wanted to do something for me.
Yeah, the guilt.
Yeah, the guilt.
That's
like
massive for every mom I work with. Yes.
Even buying something for myself instead of one of my children, you know, like,
ooh, how dare you?
A new shirt.
How dare you? A £3 or dollar, whatever currency you have.
I know. And like going to the grocery store by myself was like a freaking
underwear without holes. How dare you?
Right? So when I think back at the guilt that I used to have for putting myself first or wanting something myself, I'm like, what the hell? Like that was so not good. But I was not in the world that I am in now. So now I encourage people and I'm like, you have to put yourself first, because if you fall apart, then nobody's going to benefit. Everybody who relies on you for things you're going to affect them if you're not in a good place and in good health and everything yourself.
Yeah. So, the better you feel, the more you can do. The more you can do for your family, the more you can do for your friends. So you come first.
Yes. That is not selfish, and you should not feel guilty about it.
And yes, I take practice.
It does. Yeah,
yes.
It does. Because I can tell you the first time, like massages were not something I did because I felt that was a huge luxury and oh my God, you know, do that for myself, right? So the first one I had was because somebody that I worked with was going to massage school and they needed to do
practice
like prenatal because I was pregnant at the time. So I was a guinea pig. I was like, I'll do it, you know, guinea pig. And then I had another massage, I think, like a few years after my daughter was born, and still felt guilty for like going and spending time on myself on something for me. Now I go every month, and I think that I honestly think that it helps to keep me healthy, you know, like move stuff around and
it probably does.
Helps to center me. I mean, I think it's a huge part of self-care, and sometimes there's a little twinge of guilt. I'm going to admit it in there, but for the most part, I'm like, screw that. I'm like, guilt.
Just acknowledge the guilt, acknowledge it's there, and do it anyway.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because I can see the benefits of doing it. It's, you know, so I do. And I'm sure that that's part of what you teach too.
Absolutely. Yeah, because what I see mostly if I do a session, especially for birth trauma, it's always the woman telling herself she failed in some way. If you're talking about a negative birth experience where you did have a healthy baby, or that the baby is okay now, because in stillbirth, of course, it's a slightly bit different conversation you're having.
Right.
But every single time, it's always they beat themselves up, because they're not good enough. They didn't deserve it. What were they thinking that they could do it, without help? And and the fact that they accepted help, whether it's, gas and air, like I don't think they use it over there, but it's in the UK common, or an epidural, how dare they accept that help? Like, oh my God, I had to get help to get through a difficult situation. And then when we're doing the sessions and I let them see, no, you were doing your absolute best to get through a difficult situation. And you did great. And the moment that belief switches, like, oh, I did good. Yeah, you did. And that's when the trauma, the roots, I was talking about earlier,
right.
That's when they're removed, when that self-belief of a woman telling herself that I'm not good enough, I failed, I'm worthless, I don't deserve it, whatever it is she's telling herself, when we can shift that, the trauma disappears.
So do you encourage people, women, because it's very different. I mean, my youngest is 14 and a half, so a lot has shifted and changed since I was pregnant. I would encourage this whole process from probably even like before pregnancy, to just kind of help support you getting in a good place. But do you encourage women to start this like even before or right away in pregnancy, or do you take them like I'm sure that you talk with women at any particular
it depends what the person needs. Like I said, when I was pregnant, the triggers came up, and that's when you deal with them. So I'm not the one to teach, fear from every corner, and you need to, get your bomb shelter pack ready just in case something.
Right.
That's not me. I'm, if something comes up, we'll deal with it. And someone who's watching this, for example, someone who went through the doctors, want to get pregnant, they can't conceive for any reason, but they're completely healthy, partner as well. What's going on? There may be a belief underneath saying, I can't get pregnant, I don't deserve to be pregnant, I don't deserve to be a mother, which then translates to the body protecting itself,
right?
And then you can't conceive. So again, the first steps, you need to do this, start with with the first step, so to say. So I won't treat someone who can't get pregnant but hasn't gone to see a doctor, because I'm not medically trained, I'm not licensed. So you need to start with the first step. You don't start with step 100,
Right.
But there are things that our body does to protect ourselves, and whatever it is that you're holding on to, but we can only deal with it when it shows up, because otherwise it's just guesswork.
Right.
So it's not gonna work. So what I noticed for my pregnancy is that we did the hypnobirthing, and it was, I think, 3-4 days before birth, I had the feeling that came up, was like, oh my God, what the fuck was I thinking? Because I'm bringing a child into the world, in a world that, well, in the past, it's of course with how my life is right now, I'm really happy. I'm thinking, why the hell did I become pregnant? And that brought a lot of tension and fear on my body. So the hypnobirthing, that's some mom even experienced a pain-free birth. That wasn't me. And it's just because I was still holding on to that fear of, I didn't want to be on this planet. Why am I bringing someone on this too?
Right.
But that's for me personally, that was one of those self-beliefs that I have in there, that, I don't want to live here. So again, a beautiful opportunity to heal, and gladly that shifted now. So if I, go talk
Yeah.
4 years back to my younger self, that's something I would definitely mention, that, I would do the work on that to make sure that when you go into labor, the way the muscles are designed to work, if you hold on to tension, whether it's because you think you're a worthless person, you will be a horrendous mom, or, the birth is going to be painful, dreadful, or, you've got people around you feel like you can't trust. Our bodies are designed to keep us safe.
Right.
So if wherever you are and you still feel like you're uncomfortable, what the uterus, the muscles do, they tense up. So you can get yourself into safety and continue to birth there. Mm. However, the way our medical world works now, they require moms to stay put in a place they feel uncomfortable. Yeah, the birth is going to happen at some point. So you've got on one side the tension that increases, and on one side the hormones that start to increase. So which creates more pain. The pain creates more anxiety. The anxiety creates more pain, and then you get the heart rates for the mom goes up. The heart rate from the baby, of course, is going to respond because if mom is panicking, then there must be something wrong. So get ready because there's a danger ahead. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get into all medicalized birth inventions and inventions. That's not the word. Interventions, close, and that's how that all then progresses. And yes, the help a mom needs and a baby needs is absolutely necessary. But maybe if we started at a different starting point, we could have maneuvered it a slightly bit different. So that's why it's so important to have people around you in everyday life, of course, but especially during birth, you feel you can trust.
Right.
You feel safe. You feel you can let go. Just, open up, literally. Yeah. It's a whole different situation. And if you feel like, it's not going to happen,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that would have been me. I had C-sections. And I was totally happy doing it that way.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
I think I kind of manifested that because I'm kind of a little bit of a control freak. And I was like, oh my God, the thought of going into labor in the grocery stores and, the whole unplanned stuff was not for me.
Yeah, that's something you need to let go. And it's from Maru from Infinite Receiving. She doesn't like the word surrender, but she uses the term uprender.
Yeah.
You need to let go. If you feel like you can't let go in a situation like that, it's gonna create tension. Right. And for me personally, yes, I would always choose a natural delivery, always, ever. But that's me personally. I've done sessions with mom who had the C-section delivery. And we did a beautiful C-section, and it was just the right birth for the baby at the time. And good. If you're happy, I'm happy. It doesn't matter what I think about your life. If you're happy with the way it went, my work is done.
Right. Right. I mean, the end result is the same. You have your beautiful baby.
Yeah. You still give birth. It's just
you still give birth.
The baby goes to the light, whether that's through the vagina or through the belly. It's all birth. It's all okay. Whatever a woman wants, whatever is right for her on that day.
Absolutely, and I think that's important too, because back then, there are so many opinions of other women on how things should be done and what you should, do during birth or after, and this and that, and I think that it's an important message too, that whatever feels right for you is what's right and what's good, because that does cause tension too. If you're sitting there listening to all these people saying you should do it this way and you're not good if you don't do it this way, but you're feeling
you're gonna kill your child if you don't do what we say.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Enough. Bad. Yep. I know. Listen to your intuition, and if something feels good and it feels right that way, then just everybody else, do the best for you, the whole self-care thing. Right?
Yeah, we're back to listening to what you need, and whether that's, like you said, a massage once a month or just some 5-minute alone time each day, or you need to go on a trip with your girlfriends, whatever it is you need.
Yeah. I totally encourage that. So when you work, how do you work with people? Is it a one-on-one? Is it in person? Do you do, well, you said you work internationally, so I guess
Yeah, so Skype. I use Skype. Yeah, it is depending on what the mom needs, of course, and if she comes to me prior birth or after. The rule of thumb I have, I need one session per birth. So if a session is about an hour, and what we do is, first, of course, she gets the opportunity to share, on the conscious level, what happened to her, how was the birth like, and then we start looking into the birth itself. So I asked her to place her hands on her heart and just take a nice couple of deep breaths. And when she think about what she just shared with me, where does that show up in her body? Yeah. Because our body or our subconscious brain stores information, like, us being able to talk or walk, or like I'm, flapping my hands explaining this story. It's all stored in there. There are like thousands, millions of files in there, but also including like a traumatic birth. So that's why we focus on where it shows up, and whatever shows up, I ask her to describe it, whether it's, if it's a spiky feeling, or if it's like just a lot of what comes up is sadness on the lungs, on the heart area, a lot in the stomach area. When you, I don't know if you have that, when I get stressed, my stomach tends to cramp up. Yeah. So those are the most common things, and then whatever comes up, that's what we work on. And sometimes it's depending on how spiritual mom is, that can be angels coming in, or past relatives coming in, or we can do past generations, past lives, or if a mom isn't that spiritual, that's fine too. I've seen it all. I can deal with it. Yeah. So we use EFT, which is an emotional freedom technique. So that's a gentle way to help the release of the traumas. We go back to the root of the belief system. So, for example, during the birth, there was a moment where the atmosphere in the room changed, and that's when the woman felt like, "Uh-oh, I can't do this." And then the whole birth, of course, happened. When we go back to that first moment to get it, the problem with the roots again. But because we go back to the beginning, we can rebuild the memory, so to say. So instead of going down the route she went, we stop here. We go in as our future selves to go help our younger self. And because she done, like I said, we can bring in moms, dads, pets, angels, whatever it is the woman needs in that moment. And because she doesn't feel like she's alone, she feels like she is in control. We steer the birth to something she desired. That's what we re-imprint, hence the re-imprinting bit in the name. She gets to experience the birth in that moment the way she felt was right for her. So that could, like I said, it could be a C-section. It could be a vaginal birth at home, or even if it was in a car. If that was the right for her and the baby at that time, perfectly fine. And because we then re-imprint a new belief system, she can still remember what happened on that day, but she feels differently about it. And that's why the technique is so powerful, because I don't remove the memory. I don't remove what happened to you. Because like I said, with my experiences, if I didn't went through all the trauma I went through, if I didn't have those therapists that did help me, but not the way I needed, I would not be doing this job.
Right.
So is that a bad thing? Yeah, I'm happy. So, so that's why, but we want a woman or sometimes it's a partner too, of course. We want them to feel like they did the absolute best, they did what they deserved, and that's because they feel about it differently. The trauma changes, it disappears. Like I said, with mine, because I don't feel like it was such a horrendous thing that happened to me.
Right. Because
I understand the darkness, I understand the PTSD, I understand that, my PTSD at the time was so bad that if I would go outside and check if there was traffic coming, the moment I checked it, I forgot I would step right in front of the car. That's how bad my brain has gotten.
Wow.
2-3 seconds, my memory was already gone. I would just walk in front of a car. So I understand how it is to be in such a dark place that you think, how the hell am I supposed to get out?
Yeah.
And that's why I think that what I went through, I can help so many other women to say, you know what, I'll come meet you where you are right now, and we'll go through this together. And whatever it is you need, we'll do it. We'll deal.
Yeah. I love that. I love that people like you, do that, share their stories and what they've been through to help other people, come out of their stories.
Yeah, because I absolutely believe that every single one of us deserves a healthy and happy life after trauma. It's just because we then go back to the self-beliefs that women think, like you said as well, I have it as well, the guilt in spending money on yourself,
right?
Putting everyone else first. So there's that click, that switch that needs to happen in order for a woman to come to me and say, yeah, you know what? I am worth it. I deserve to be happy, because when I'm happy, and when I feel okay, I can actually manage my family. We can actually have fun together.
Yeah.
I can actually get a good night's sleep instead of having horrendous nightmares each night.
Yep.
And that's the switch that needs to happen in a person, that they say, I'm not doing this anymore. This is not working. And based on past results, we need to do something else.
Yeah. And sadly, that's often the point that you get to. Like, you've had enough. Like, it's done. Yeah. It's like something has to change, rather than how most of us would probably like to approach it, proactively.
Yeah, ideally, I would say any woman of this world, come meet me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's 3 billion, I think, currently from us. I think that my office may be a tiny bit too small. No, but yeah, I think that's the most important switch I made myself over this past year. Because yes, it's never okay what happened to me. And I will never, ever defend anyone who treats anyone like I was treated. No, that's not okay.
Right.
But what I've done with it, oh, it's gold.
Yeah, and I think that's an important shift for people to come from that place of, instead of it stopping them from being happy and from moving on in their lives, that they get to the place where they're going to be like, I am going to be the best damn person I can be, in sort of like a, fuck you didn't screw up my whole life, right?
Yeah, it's the letting go of the for me, what also helped is the vision of forgiveness. And the definition I read, I think it was last year somewhere, is that forgiveness is letting up the hope that the past will be any different. So
I like that definition.
Yeah, so I'm letting go. It will never change.
Yeah,
I'm letting it go. Well, for example, one of my former clients, Natalie, she had two, well, let's go with traumatic births. The way she phrased it one day at me, said, I had two horrendous births and I feel great about it. Because she switched that belief in, she absolutely know the way those births were meant to happen is something that she had to experience. She's now setting up local support groups. She's now working with other pre- and postnatal depression moms. She's completely, changing everyone's life. And just because the first birth was, it wasn't great. The second was just completely not fun for her, so to say. But now she's like, I can't believe that I feel so great about what happened. And I just know that was, for me personally, something I had to experience. And now, I can get to give this all back to other women that need to hear this. And she's like over the moon. That's the experience. So, like I said, it's never okay to be treated, because if you see some violence in the birth room, that's not what we're saying here. But it's what you gonna do with it? Mm-hmm. Are you gonna have it empower you, or are you gonna have it drag you down?
Right. I go for empower.
If I have a choice, I'm going with empower at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to be able to share what you learn from that with other people, it's, I think,
powerful stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. Speak your truth.
It's priceless, because it really touches other people. And makes them not feel like they're struggling through something on their own, or that there is no light at the end of the tunnel, or there's, you know, that there is a different way to view things.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. And so I have a quick question about the hypnobirthing part.
Yes.
Is that something, obviously, I guess it's like learning techniques beforehand to use during birth?
Yes. So the idea is that the hypnobirthing comes from hypnosis, and hypnosis is just a technique we use like in every day. I don't know if you do drive a car. If sometimes you
forget where you don't even know how you got where you were.
Yeah, that bit. So that's your mind completely in control, but you're not consciously thinking what's going on. The example I always give is if you interlace your fingers. If you could do it with me, and people are watching, do that too, and then switch, and then do your other thumb on top. Well, when I asked my husband to do this the first time, I had to do it 3 times because he just didn't move his thumb. He said, look. You know? And it feels really uncomfortable, and you have to think about what's going on. So with the hypnobirthing, what we do is that you train yourself to become as relaxed as possible, because when we're relaxed and the body can do what it's designed to do, the birth goes much smoother because you're not resisting the process.
Right.
And the more you resist, the more you try to keep yourself safe by keeping, you know, your little one in, because your offspring, that's important for us as a human species. So that's the hypnobirthing. It's a bit of a woo-woo name, so to say. A lot of people go, you know, but it's effectively just relearning how to trust yourself and be okay with letting go. And I think, like you said, you like to be in control. I think every single woman I talk to, it's being in control by completely letting go. And that's counterintuitive for most people, I would say.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about letting go, but being in control about letting go. Yeah.
Yeah, you get my point. So, and what we do, we get simple exercises you can practice with your partner. And if you don't have a partner and you're pregnant, you can like get a CD or MP3 to practice it by yourself or with a friend. And you just do it every single night. You practice. So by the time you give birth, as I mentioned in the beginning, you know, your subconscious brain holds all those files, like, you know, me flapping my hands and us talking. When we go into birth, if it's a new situation, your subconscious is looking for a file that's closest to the situation you've ever been, whether that's something you've seen on TV, whether something you've been told. That's why, you know, negative birth stories are a no-no when you're pregnant.
Stay away from those TV shows.
So when you go into birth, your body pulls up that relaxation file, and that's, you know, how that's why it's so important. You can't just go, you know, I read the book.
Right.
Yeah, good start. And what, you know, like I said in my classes, it's, you know, hypnobirthing is a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix. We need to make the decision at one point. Oh, if you want to be happy, to what thoughts you allow in your brain.
Right.
If you're constantly telling yourself what a worth of piece of shit you are, chances are you're gonna feel like that. Right. So, especially when you're pregnant, and of course, you know, with a little one or little ones are growing inside of you. Whether if the stuff you eat, whether it's stuff, you know, you put on your skin, whether it's what you think, it does matter. And all those little bits together, they make a huge difference at your birth. Of course, also how we experience life itself. Right. I'm sure you've experienced some of similar things, that you keep beating yourself up, like you said, with the guilt.
Yeah, of course. I think we all do. You know, if we could only go back.
It's human.
We'd go back in time knowing what we know now, you know. Yeah. That's not how life works.
No. Stay in the present.
But that's okay, because we take what we learn and we move forward with it, and like you, help others from what you've learned to get through. And that's
absolutely,
that's
it's an honor.
Important. And so you have a free offer that gives a little taste of what you do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you share what that is? I did write it down.
Yeah, I can see you searching. Why did I go?
Yeah, I know, like I did.
We launched a free Heal Yourself workshop with tools to help you learn how to let go of traumas and rewrite them that happen in pregnancy, birth, or beyond. So whether it's something you experienced like assault or a miscarriage or stillbirth or negative birth, or even if someone close to you passed away when you were pregnant, whatever it is you feel like it's being triggered, what you're holding on to. It's a 4-week course. If you sign up, you just get the free information weekly sent to your inbox. And it will help you, to let go of things that no longer serve you, so to say.
Nice.
And of course, following up on that, you're happy to book an appointment with me, and we can go to the roots and solve it once and for all.
Yeah, I truly believe it. I'm like a big one-on-one person. So even with my own clients, like I really enjoy the one-on-one. I think this more powerful and more connection.
Absolutely.
More that happens that way, for sure, especially in what you do, because I've got a friend who does something similar, and it's just incredible. Like,
it transforms your life. Like I said with my past client, Natalie, who just, her baby just turned 1 last month. So, give me an hour, I'll change your life.
Yeah, now she's like, I am so glad I had 2 horrendous births.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, that's how she feels.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful shift right there.
Yeah, so.
Well, thank you so much. And all this information and easy clickable things will be on my website at CherriseBoucher.com under the Inspire View Series tab. You can also find the past 2 years of interviews within there too, and on my YouTube channel. So there'll be a quick link to connect with Susanne.
Susanne. Close.
I'm gonna catch myself. I'm gonna sit here repeating your name over and over again after we get off this call. I'll get it right. Yeah, so super easy to find everything and to connect with her on Facebook and her website and the free gift and everything.
You can also book a free discovery call if you're interested in working with me one-on-one directly.
Oh, great. And that'll be on your website.
Yeah, it's all there. Easy peasy.
Quick links all over the place. That's how it'll happen. Thank you so much.